南无本师释迦牟尼佛。南无本师释迦牟尼佛。南无本师释迦牟尼佛。Seeking refuge in the fundamental teachers of Sakyamuni Buddha. The Dhamma, infinitely profound and subtle, is rarely encountered even in a million kalpas. Now we are able to hear, to study, and to practice. May we fully understand and realize the Tathagata's true teachings. I promised to show you some lotus flowers, which I took. So you see, those are the lotus leaves. Look, they are all above water, and they are huge, like this size. Yeah. And so this is the bud. When I went, I think most of the flowers actually have bloomed. You can see a little one faintly at the back. There's a one which is not fully bloomed. Look, this one. When it's fully bloomed, it's actually pretty, very open. Have you seen one like this in Canada? Not in Canada. Yeah, in Southeast Asia. Okay. So the bookmark that you've seen was made from one of these. Yeah. From this lotus. Uh, so this, okay, I tell you, oops, sorry. The leaves, we can actually use it as a medicine and also red rice to cook. After it's being cooked, the rice has very a kind of fragrance. Okay, so this is the. Did you see this? You see this? It's like as a stigma inside, and this when is you look at it on the top is all little hole which holds the little lotus seed inside. Okay, and that is the bud, and then it will open up like this. You see, that's that's what the Buddha said. Where lotuses come out from mud, but don't carry all the blemish of the mud. So it's clear, it's clean and pure. Okay, so we had to cancel last week because that was I didn't know no light here. Clock. Oh, okay. So they can see me. Oh, you're on the PowerPoint. You're not showing me. Oh. Are you showing this Lotus's PowerPoint? Oh, okay. Good. All right. All right. Uh, okay. So you're all okay at home too? Okay. So the rain is coming. Make sure you get some sandbags. 4 inches of rain is coming. In 2 days. Plus all that snow. There's going to be a lot of water. So yeah, growing lotus. Yeah. And get the mud. It's just the lotus actually they grow in this a very particular kind of mud, not any mud. Yeah. So it's people row a boat to go and harvest the lotus root. They have to because it's in the pond, right? The pond could be huge, like the size of maybe that whole field, on Luckakuk on the right hand side when we drive in. It could be that size, a pond. You cannot see the end. It's all filled with lotuses. Especially in China and in Taiwan, they have lotus pond, huge lotus pond. So they have to row a boat, like they harvest wild rice, right? They row a boat. So, okay, chapter 30. The Buddha said, people who cultivate the way are like those who wear hay. They should avoid fire. And cultivators must keep their distance from desires. And these few chapters are very, very simple. And they should avoid fire because once the hay catch fire, the hay will burn, And but how can we avoid fire? Don't feed it, but yeah, how can you stop feeding it? Just emotions? Very good, use. Hey, you see your efforts pay off. Really. Every week, just little drop like this. You really pay off those efforts. Good. Yeah, the sentimental feelings from all these six sensors actually are the dry hay. They represent the hay, symbolic of the hay. So the external reciprocals of the six sensors, which are the forms, the colors, the sound, the smell, the taste, the touch, and the thoughts, right? Those are the reciprocals of these six sensors, external reciprocals of these six sensors. So we should be extremely careful of not using the fire, of not trying to catch a fire. Like in a gas station, we see big signs. You don't smoke around here. They have a clearance of how many meters? 10 meters maybe? But I see people smoke around gas station and I look at them, they don't seem to have any cautious. They say, oh, it's okay. That gas station won't catch fire because of just my cigarette. Yeah, explosion, right? Yeah. So we have to be very careful not to allow our hay to become too dry, or allow ourselves to become too dry, oneself to become too dry hay. So how can we stop to become dry hay? That means we actually not to follow those, or not to crave for those sentimental feelings that keep feeding into through these sense doors and into our mind. And the mind stop reacting or reacting less and less and less. Okay, so keeping the hay, one way of keeping the hay not dry, keeping the hay wet. Wet hay don't catch fire unless the fire stays long enough to what? To dry up all that hay, then it will start to burn, right? So how can we get this fire, this hay? How can we stop this hay from getting dry? Is make sure that it's wet. How can it be wet? That means Dhamma and morality. The most important is the morality are the protectors. Yeah, it's the protection shield for us. Like when we say not to kill, that means this bodily action is not to harm or hurt, intentionally cause harm and hurt to others. Right? Not to steal is also bodily actions, not to intentionally take whatever that is not ours without permission from the owner. And not to commit adultery, that means we don't want our spouse to have extramarital affair because it hurts us. Then we don't want to hurt others. So that's bodily, right? It's all bodily. Then the verbal part is we don't want to have harsh speech. What else? Gossiping, slandering, lying. Yeah. So this is all verbal. Yeah. This is so morality part. If we keep this morality part very seriously, upholding this, that means we are constantly keeping this hay dry, but keeping this hay wet, not allow it to be burned by the fire. Okay, and the fire is are those severe desires. Yeah, all desires that we cannot really control. Yeah. Um, We went to visit Mr. T at Saskatoon yesterday. So you all know who is Mr. T, right? One of my buddy friends from here who's got transferred to Saskatoon. And I asked, well, after the first meditation with other inmates, and we have an hour together with him to talk. I said, how have you been? Have you been losing your temper? He said, oh no, I haven't lost my temper at all. I said, really? Since last time he saw us, that was in when? No, July, really? Yeah, beginning of July. So he said, I have not lost my temper at all. I said, wow, really? He said, yeah, because he used to be very angry, right? You remember what I told you? He used to be so angry. You know, every little thing that people don't do it right, he get anger. He get angry, and especially those authority people like officers, IPOs, all that, right? They get so mad and so angry, and he could like try to take them out. And so he said, now he looked at them. Yes, they're not doing it right, but it's none of my business. Walk away. He said, you give me the best thing. Is none of my business. He said, I haven't lost my anger for so long. It's amazing to see him, really remembering a lot of my teachings and still upholding it in that kind of situation is really not easy. Yeah. So it was very encouraging to see him, improving like that. Yeah. So hopefully those desires won't burn him, keeping the hay wet all the time. Yeah. So that's chapter 30. Well, he said cultivators must keep their distance from desires. Does it mean that we can't allow to have any desire at all? So what does it mean by this? Keep the distance from desires. See? Don't cling to it. Okay. Don't react if your desire is not being fulfilled. Yeah. And don't cling to it. And don't get upset. Yeah. Yeah. So we will have desire. How can we not have desire, right? We will have desire. But if the desire is not being fulfilled, then we don't get angry. We don't get agitated. We don't have that negativity. But a lot of times when the desires are not fulfilled and if we are not aware and we cannot maintain that equanimity, that balance of mind, then we'll start to get very angry. Right? It's because why? Because we crave for the desires to be fulfilled. Yeah. And if they are not fulfilled, then we sort of get agitated and irritated. And so that become a ripple effect. Yeah. So cultivators must keep their distance from desire. Doesn't mean that desires are not allowed. It means that when desires arise, we become aware and we don't follow if it is an unwholesome desire. Of course, there is a wholesome desire, right? You desire to come every Tuesday night, every Tuesday evening. As Carrie said the other day, oh, it seems that I haven't been at Poland for such a long time. I missed it, but I cannot come on Tuesday night. I really would like to come. I really would like to come. That is a desire. But if she cannot make it and she get over and she get upset over it, then that is not desirable. Yeah. So we have to really understand how to, uh, uh, keep the boundaries and don't overboard doing it or overboard not doing it. Yeah. Okay. So chapter 31, he said, a still mind extinguishes lust A man plagued with incessant lust wished to castrate himself. The Buddha told him, rather than to castrate yourself, you should curb your mind. The mind is like a commander. When the commander halts, so will his subordinates. If you cannot cut off lascivious thoughts, what is the use of castrating yourself? It makes sense, doesn't it? So, well, some practitioners are very overwhelmed by lust, and yet they are aware that it is not going to be beneficial to the practice if they are overwhelmed with such lust. So they try. What do they try to do? They try to suppress that. Castrating here not could mean really physically castrating, but it could mean also mentally castrating. What is mentally castrating is suppressing, and or developing negativity towards these desires or this lust. The Buddha said here, he said, if you want to castrate your physical body, why don't you just castrate your deluded and greedy mind? Because the mind is like a commander. When the commander halts, that means if the commander stops acting, so will his subordinates, right? Because his subordinates are led by the commander. Therefore, we should really deal with the mind, not trying to castrate ourselves. So there is a Chinese saying, we cut our toes short to fit into short shoes. That's ouch. Yeah. Well, that's just an analogy, right? It's an analogy, but it's still the same like as this one. So a practitioner is overwhelmed by the lust, so he want to be out of that lust, so he want to castrate his physical body. So he think that by castrating that, he will be out of lust, but it's impossible. It's impossible. If you cut your toes and you fit into short shoes, ouch, it hurts, right? So the Buddha said the mind is a commander, and do you remember in Dhammapada verse 1, it says this: mind precedes all mental states. Mind is their chief. They are all mind route. If with an impure mind a person speaks or acts, sufferings follows him like the wheel that follows the foot of the ox. So with that, and similarly in verse 2, the first few lines will be the same. Mind precedes all mental states. Mind is the chief. They are all mind route. If with a pure mind a person speaks or acts, happiness follows him like his never departing shadow. So remember that. So remember verse 1. Can anybody tell me the story behind verse 1? I should have told you to study your Dhammapada. Anybody? The blind arahat. No, the elephant. The blind arahat. Oh. Giving away his eyes? No. Huh? Giving away his eyes? No. Something to do with the eyes. Can you remember the story? No. Okay. You want me to tell you the story? Laurie, you still trying to dig it out from your memory? I'm trying. Recall. Is there a cliff in the story? Is there what? A cliff story? Is there a cliff? No. No. Okay, no, I'm lost. There are a lot of insects in the story. Oh, yeah. Yeah, tell us A blind arahant went to pay respect to the Buddha, and because he was blind, right? So he walked along. He killed a lot of insects and bugs on the ground. So the monks went to complain to the Buddha, and the Buddha said, the monk said, "Oh, this blind arahant, he killed so many bugs." And the Buddha said, "Did you see him intentionally killing those bugs?" He said, "No." So he wasn't intentionally trying to kill the bugs because he was blind. So he killed the bugs, but without any intention. And the monk said, "So why is he blind?" But he's an arahant. Why was he blind? Because in one life, he was an ophthalmologist, right? Remember? And there was a woman who came to him with the eye disease. And the woman said, "If you cure my eye disease, I will come and serve as your maid, and I will bring my daughter to come and serve you as your maid." And so the doctor, the ophthalmologist said, good. Two maids for one, right? Great. So gave her the medicine. And it actually cured the woman's eye problem. But then the woman thought, if he really cure my eye problem, then I really need to bring my child and myself to go and serve him for the rest of my life. Then I better lie. So she went back to the clinic and told the doctor, doctor, my eyes problem still is bothering me. It's not being cured yet. But because he is a doctor and he could check that it has been cured, and he knew that she was lying, just try to avoid to work as a maid for him. So he actually gave her medicine that made her blind. You can remember that story? You remember the story, yeah? So that was the story behind this, the whole thing. So that's why he has been blind for many, many lives. But yet,
Because he was the one that made the baby.
yeah, of course. So, but because he's a very he on the other hand, he is a practitioner with a lot of wisdom, with a lot of good merits still. Okay. So on one hand, he has to to bear the consequence of that act. But on the other hand, he has a lot of merits. And when he practiced diligently, he still attained the arahanthood. But yet his karma, he still have to bear the karma. Okay, so it says in verse 1 and verse 2, mind precedes all mental states. That means the mind is actually the director of our thoughts and of all our volitions and of all our actions. So if we could actually train this mind, that means we could train this body, we could train this verbal action, we could train this thinking process, right? The thinking mind. Because why? Because there is this big director at the back. So whatever practice that we adopt now, it is for the sole purpose of training the mind, rather than just doing it superficially. Okay, even prostration. You think people think that, oh wow, you're doing prostration. No, that's prostration is not a physical thing. It is a training of the mind to become humble, to become aware when you start to prostrate, and you keep on reflecting when you prostrate. Have I done anything wrong? Have I said anything wrong? And you can see when somebody prostrate, You can see whether they are really prostrating or they are really wandering, but yet they are performing. Yeah. So it is a big difference. So it's important that we remember this. Okay. So Dhammapada verse 1 and verse 2, why would they be verse 1 and verse 2? That means it's very important. Okay, this pair is very important. So remember this. And of course, if with a pure mind a person speaks or acts, suffer a happiness follows him like his own never departed shadow, right? So the Buddha, we continue with uh, chapter 31. The Buddha recited the following verse. He said, desire arises from thinking, and thinking arises from conception and discernment. When both aspects of the mind are still, there is neither form nor action. And the Buddha said, this verse was spoken by Kassapa Buddha. Okay, so desire arises from thinking. Who is thinking? The mind is thinking. Yeah, it's not you, okay? So don't identify yourself with the mind. that, when we start to identify ourselves with the mind, there is sometimes there causes a lot of problem. Of course, if we disidentify ourselves from the mind, sometimes it causes problem too. Neither way, is not conducive. Why? If we identify this with ourselves, oh, I desire. This is my thinking. So there's this big I there all the time. And then you start to cling on to this I more and more often. Okay. So when this, for example, oh, this is my body. So when this body starts to get old and old aged and start to like this, then you start to, oh, my body is cracking down. My body is growing old. Oh, I don't want to die. I don't want to be sick. I don't want to feel pain. So that's all this I and me and mine. Then you constantly identifying yourself with this pain, with this old age, with this death. Then there is constant suffering because that identification with me, mine, and I is constantly burning you out. So, and you say, it's me really, it's me getting old. Yeah, it's old age. It's where are you? Who are you? Take a hair out. Is the hair you? Is the eyes you? Are the eyes you? No, these are all things that come together. The eyes, the mouth, everything come together to make you. And these things will, after you have used it for so many years, they get old, need to be replaced. Like the house, right? This house getting old and running down, need to be replaced. But if you keep on identifying this house to be your house, then you will never be able to able to let go of it. Yeah. That's a big trouble that's the big challenge that we constantly face as a human being. Animal, they only know they only know two things: to eat and to rest, or to flee from danger. Okay, so they I don't know whether they know about death, but at least they know that they need to flee from danger, from predators. But animals don't identify themselves like we do, like we do. We do identify ourselves with this body so much. So when this body start to get run down, we start to get so distressed and depressed, or our partner get become ill and whatever, then we become so distressed. So you say that you don't become distressed if your partner get ill. Oh, you do, but you have to see it also from another point of view. Is okay. This is how life play out, and what is the best thing to do is just be at every present moment. We fully utilize that moment to stay together as happy couple, happy being, happy family, happy friends. And when time comes that we need to depart, then that's it. We have to depart. And you don't have at that then if somebody leaves you, and if you so because you're not identifying you with them or them with you, then after they're gone, that grief would not last for too long. But if you start to identify too much, that means he or she actually belongs to you, is one of your possession. Then if they go, that means you have lost one very precious gem from your safety box. Then you will start to lament a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. So be very, 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 very wise with this. Okay. So desire arises from thinking. It's true. We think, oh, like Eva and Linda, they went shopping for dinner in Saskatoon. I said, I need fruits. And then later on, I sent them a message. I said, yogurt is more desirable. And they bought me a packet of yogurt, 4 yogurts, one night, one evening. How many apples? 2 apples? Oh, no, apples, I bought them myself. Oh, 2 bananas. And also 1 big bag of chips the crisps that you had tonight. I said, what? Oh, veggie chips. See, we think that you would like to munch on something. They think that I would like to munch on something. Then yesterday we came home, a bag on this hand, a bag on this hand, and a bag and a backpack on here. I said, you see, Eva, Cock said, don't go to Costco, okay? Don't go to Costco. No more cheese. Don't bring home anything. And then I said, you see, we brought them this whole bag of 1 bag of chips. I said, what's that? They said popcorn. I said, what's that popcorn for us? But they never ate it, you see. They think they can eat, they need the popcorn to munch on. They think I would enjoy a bag of veggie chips. It's nice that they think about their teacher, right? So desires arises from thinking. So that's a true example there. A true and vivid example. It is, we should actually put that into the 42 chapters. It's true, isn't it? It's so practical. Really, desires arises from thinking. Huh? Oh no, they did not get it from Costco. It's just the store next to the hotel. But anyway, so thinking arises from conception and discernment. It's true, isn't it? They had conceived that Sifu would like to have some chips when she studies. So the big bag of chips sitting there when I was reading my book. It was so fun. And I look at it. 2 apples, 2 bananas, 4 yogurt, and 1 chips. Oh, and then what? And then 2 biscuits from the flight, right? Oh, and then potato wedges, yeah, too. Yeah, potato wedges. So it was a very rich and full dinner that we have had in Saskatoon. So Saskatoon has been treating us very good, very well. Those potato wedges are very good. So when both aspects of the mind are still, oh gosh, there is neither form nor action. So when both aspects, so aspects is the conception and the discernment and the thinking. So when these aspects of the mind are still, it doesn't mean that it is inactive. It's just that it's not taking actions. It's not putting them in actions. That's all. It's still active. Okay. So there is neither form nor action. That means the eyes still see the form, the colors, and the ears still hear, the nose still smell, the tongue still taste, the body still feels, touches, tangible touch, and the mind still can think, but they will not be putting them into actions, manifesting them into actions. Okay? And there is neither form nor action. You think that really there is no form? There is still form because the color is the color, right? There's the color. But we don't have to say, oh, I think this color is red, because from my experience, this color is red. This is discernment, isn't it? Right? And this all come from where? The conception and the discernment. The conception comes from the perception of the sense doors, right? The sense doors see, hear, smell. And the discernment comes from our past experiences. The sanya. Remember the Pali word? The sanya. So when these two parts are still, the mind becomes still, because they are not being manifested into actions. So how can we actually steal these two parts, steal these two aspects of the mind, the conception and the discernment? What effort should we cultivate? Equanimity, good.
Awareness.
Good. Yeah. These are the two wings to the bird, right? If you have awareness, yeah, you're aware. You're aware that, okay, this is a very a grim situation. And if you do not have equanimity, you will start to what? React. Okay? And so then if you have equanimity, yes, it's okay, but you don't have awareness, what happens? You will still react. Yeah. Or you don't know that you have reacted. Right? Yeah. So that is very, very important. The two wings to the bird, remember this. Without either one of them, it's not going to help you. So these two have to be developed on a parallel route. Yeah. So in here, the whole thing is desire arises from thinking, and thinking arises from conception and discernment. When both aspects of the mind are still, there is neither form or action. So somehow, somewhere, we have actually experienced this in our meditation. If we could actually calm this mind, or we could actually train and tame this mind to be calm and sensitive, but balanced, this whole body, this whole existence start to change. Right? You feel light. You feel sort of kind of blissful. and in the that's physical, and in the mind, there's you kind of feel peace and quiet and calm, right? And there is a moment that you may be filled with so much joy that you actually start to smile. And people ask why you smile. You say, I don't know. I just feel so happy, right? So happy because of this lightness, of this calmness, of this quietude, and of this satisfaction and of this balance. That's the joy. And I don't know whether you remember what the fat monk Ajahn Brahm has said. Yes, so many things. He said the bliss that you get from meditation is way much stronger, way much happier than sex. If you remember that, he did say it. So, you know, and this kind of experience, you cannot sort of like, oh, Sifu, can you give that experience to me? No, can't. You have to actually cultivate. You have to develop that. It's the inequalities from purification, from filter, from sedimentation, and from developing and cultivation. Okay, so when we are calm, when these desire and thinking uh, have calmed down, we will not be easily led astray by them because we have that awareness and we have that equanimity. And the Buddha said this verse was spoken by Kassapa Buddha. So who is Kassapa Buddha? Who is he? Of course. Yeah, yeah. Good. So he's the third of the five Buddhas of the present eon. The present eon is called Abhadra Kalpa, or Bhadrakalpa. So you can have two spelling. Okay. So in the present eon is called the auspicious eon, Yin Kit, auspicious eon. That means this is an eon filled with a lot of auspicious things. And so Kasaba, well, we'll look at this first. So there are seven past Buddha. Okay, the first Buddha is called Vipassin Buddha, and then the second one is called Shikin Buddha. Third one is Visvaburka Buddha, and then those are really difficult words to say. I know, I tell you. Kanchandra Buddha and Kanakamuni Buddha and Kashyapa Buddha, and then that's the easiest is the Shakyamuni Buddha. Okay, so these seven Buddhas are the past historical Buddhas. And you can see Kassapa Buddha was the sixth of the seventh Buddha. So we call historical Buddha is Shakyamuni Buddha, or the present Buddha is the Shakyamuni Buddha. And in the Mahayana tradition, it says that there are 1,000 or 1,002 or 1,000. It depends on which scholar is talking about this. So it's either 1,000 Buddha or 1,002 Buddha. But anyway, let's say 1,000 Buddha. We call it the auspicious eon. And there are seven of these Buddha in the past. And the last four, this one from here to here, are in this present eon, in this auspicious eon. And the first three are from the past eon, and it's called gracious eon. Okay. So you can see the historical Buddha is already like 2,600 years ago. So you can imagine So how long would that Kassapa Buddha be? Some said 20,000 years ago, some said even longer. But because there is no archaeological evidence of the existence of Kassapa Buddha, so it's being recorded as a sort of like put into a legendary record rather than from the archaeological point of view. Okay, so these are the 7 Buddha from the past, and this is Kassapa Buddha. Okay, so but uh, the distinction, I mean, the number of Buddhas in the Theravadan tradition and in the Mahayana tradition are quite different. Okay, in the Theravadan tradition, they did not have 7 Buddhas; they only have 5 Buddhas in the present eon. So because we are talking in the Mahayana tradition, so I tell you that I talk about the Mahayana tradition. Okay. And it was believed that Kashyapa Buddha actually attained his enlightenment within 7 days. And the tree that he was sitting beneath was not a Bodhi tree, it's a banyan tree. It's a huge banyan tree. And so these are all stories. So really, it's just, just to sort of listen to a story. That's all. Okay. So, and in the past few chapters, we see how actually the Buddha keep emphasizing on the importance of severing the lust and paying attention not to follow that path of running after lust. And in the Dhammapada, actually, verse 345 and 346, he said, neither of iron nor wood nor hemp is bond so strong, proclaim the wise, as passions yearn for sons, for wives, for gems and ornaments. You would think, wow, is this a sin to have wife, to have sons, to have ornaments, to have gems? No, it is not a sin. It is not evil. But if one actually has that strong craving for such, then he said the bond, that means the prison, the chain, or the shackles are even much stronger, much heavier than iron or wood or hemp. Okay, so this verse 345 actually came from a story. These monks went out for alms, and they saw criminals, they saw thieves, they saw robbers, murderers were brought before the king to be sentenced in shackles, in chains, in ropes made with wood and iron and hemp. They went back to tell the story to the Buddha, and the Buddha said that to them. The Buddha said the bond and the yearning for sons, for wives, or for daughters, or for husbands, for gems and ornaments, that means decorations, that means what else? Anything that's to decorate our physical life, to maintain this physical life. He said that bond is much stronger than any of those shackles that made from iron or wood or hemp. He said the bond is 100-fold stronger or even 1,000-fold stronger than these bonds which you have seen. But strong as it is, they are very hard to break. Even though the knot seems to be so lax, but it's so difficult to untie. And so the Buddha said in this verse too, he said, the bond is strong, proclaim the wise, down dragging, pliable, hard to come loose. These passions severed, they wander forth, forsaking sensual pleasures. That means If we could sever this passion, we could go forth without any clinging to these sensual pleasures. The whole story came from one life when the Buddha was a householder, and he was very poor, and his mom supported him, and his mom found him a woman, and they got married. And the mom died. The mom died, and then there was his wife and him, right? And the monk and the man said to the wife, I want to give up this life, this mundane householder life. I want to go forth to take up a monastic robe. And the wife said, oh, well, why don't you wait? Why don't you wait for our baby to be born? I'm pregnant. And the man said, okay, I'll wait. So when the baby was born, so the man go forward to tell the wife, I want to go forward. I want to go forth to take up rope. Then the wife said, why can't you just wait until the baby stop the breastfeeding? And the man said, okay, I'll wait. And the baby stopped breastfeeding. And then the man said that to the wife again, I want to go forth. And the wife said, I'm pregnant with another baby. And the man said, one night he said, no, I needed to go forth, because if this goes on and on, I will never be able to come out. So you think it is very cruel for this man to to go forth. You think that it is very irresponsible. Yes, from a mundane point of view, it is very irresponsible. From a mundane point of view, it is not, not practical, not realistic. But if one need to walk on the path and really want to come out and liberate oneself, one really need to shed that responsibility. It's not easy. It needs to be done. Okay, so that was the whole story behind this verse 346. Okay, all right, that's all for tonight. No questions? No? Then I wish you a happy Valentine's Day. So love is taking care of someone in need. So happy Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is for everybody. It's not just for a particular person. And I totally agree with Snoopy and Peanut. Is he called Peanut? Yeah, the little boy, right?
Charlie Brown.
Oh, Charlie Brown. Oh, sorry.
Peanut is the cartoon.
This is Peanut cartoon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Charlie Brown is the character.
But I never liked Charlie Brown, so I never remember his name. So I always remember Snoopy's because I like Snoopy. Okay. So love is taking care of someone in need. When someone is in need, we should be looking after them. So every day should be a Valentine's Day, because there's always someone in our life at that moment that need help, or that need us to be there, or that need us to actually lend a hand, the lend an ear or a hand, or just to be there sitting. you know we don't need to do anything. We don't need to buy flowers, not necessarily, but if they like flowers, why not, right? Okay, so did you get any flowers for your Valentine's Day? You did. Wonderful. Good. Did you get any chocolate? Really? Wow. Belgian? Really? Okay, so really a Western thing, huh? Yeah. No, not Western thing. I th-
For everyone.
Not for everyone, huh? But okay, Charlie Brown is for everyone. Okay. Any other questions? No. I think next week I'm not be here. Yeah, next week I can't be here because I have to fly out to China. The this Buddha, the big Buddha, they're going to start carving. So I promised that I will go and do a little ceremonial chanting before they start opening up the wood, because they have to be very careful with choosing which wood, how to open it, because those wood are very expensive. Those are cedars, so they go by tons. You know, 1 ton is how many $1,000 a ton. So if they open it wrong, then that piece of wood is cannot be used. And if they open it not right, and then the lines of the wood will sort of don't fit the Buddha. So it's actually very crucial that they open it up properly and correctly. You know, so I said, when you start to carve, I said we need to come and bless the place. So so maybe I could Tuesday. When would be the 23rd? 23rd. Hey, 23rd is the 22nd in here. Hey, that's a Tuesday night. Maybe I can. What time is it? 7 o'clock? Huh?
Wednesday night.
21 is when.
22nd.
Tuesdays next week is the 21st.
Oh. No, the day later. Yeah, otherwise I can actually, show you live from there. Live stream from there. It will be cool. Well, I'll if I can, I will send some clips back for you to watch. All right.
Sorry, March
12 is the 1 day mindfulness. So if you want to come, it's in English this time. Okay. So if you want to come, apply. Is there any other thing to announce?
is work day on.
Not this week. This February, I think we skip the workday in February, because I don't want everybody to come every week to Poland. They need to spend some time with the family. They come Chinese New Year, they come 7 day of Chinese New Year, and then they come this week because we have a ceremonial chanting for Tom's and Joyce's mother. They just passed away last week, both of them. So we have a chanting for them this Sunday here. So 3 weeks in a row that they have been here, I said no, they should take a week off for the family. Yeah, so we will skip the work day in February. So in March you work harder, okay, for work day. All right. Okay. Anything to add? Huh? Anything else to announce? Ever? Nothing. Okay. Oh, there's a radio. I did a radio interview with the island radio station. They said it's going to be on this week. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll get the.
yeah. If Eva's got the information, she'll send out the link so you can listen to it. It's about interview about me, our work at the prison. All right, good. So let us dedicate our merits. We bring our attention back to this body, to this breath. We're experiencing this constant flux of changes. And we allow this good thought to arise on our mind for all the benefits that I gather from hearing the words of the Buddha. May I share with all beings, human, non-human, visible, invisible, big or small, far or near. May they be free of enmity. May they be free of miseries. May they start to live in a world with brightness and warmth. May more and more people will come to encounter the words of the Buddha, to study, to listen, to practice, to help themselves to come out of all the sufferings, all the entanglements, and to be free and happy. May you all have a good week. May you all have a good week and see you when I come back, all right?